Welcome back, everybody. Automotive Inc. here. Before we get rolling, let's hit the subscribe button for me. At the end of the video, hit the thumbs up and the notification bell when you post new content. So today I'm reviewing my 24 Subaru Forester. I finally got about 3,000 miles on it. Wanted to do a quick walk around, talk a little bit about why Subaru makes one of the best reliable, best reselling vehicle. Now, partway through this video, we're going to zap over and I'm going to show you the 25 so you can kind of decide what body style is left for you and which one's best. Now, being that 25s are dropping on the lot, they did some exterior restyling, some interior restyling, so if you're going to want to get a 24, you're going to grab that soon. Now, for me personally, I like the 24 body style just a smidge better, but for people that like the boxies, then the 25 will be something that you want to take a look at. So now for 24, guys, this is what the front end's gonna look like. You'll see here shortly what the 25 looks like. So one thing's I like about it is you get these steering responsive headlights. They're LED, they're super bright, but basically they turn with you, and that's something that's kind of across the board on all the Subarus. Not necessarily the Impreza, but the Outback and the Legacy and the Forester. So I really like that. They did change the wheels a smidge for this year, change the body cladding, so you're gonna have some venting on those. For me personally, this is the perfect mix of those items. New for 25, they are gonna add one of those stand on one leg type lift gates. That's really not for me. I'd rather touch the pad and have it come up. I got a lot of good accessory videos, guys. If you subscribe to the channel, it's free of course, but you can go over to the search bar, type in Subaru, it'll bring up everything we've done. We've added these little bumpers on the side, we've added some cool ground lights that kind of add some pizzazz and everything, but Subaru does give you some net tie down points back here, which are pretty cool. I did add this little cubby thing so we can have some extra storage here. You do get a 12-volt outlet back here, and then you do have the ability to lay the seats down from back here, as long as the front seat's up just enough that the headrest will clear to fall all the way down. Some cars out here, guys, don't get a little storage underneath there. This one has some storage and a spare, so that's kind of nice, not just a little you know, air compressor with some goo in it to try and fix your flat. I do have the cargo cover, took it out so I could put a dog kennel in here, and then it has the Harman Kardon stereo system, so that's kind of nice. They did change the back fascia a little bit, and then we do have a height adjustable tailgate here, so for people that have low clearance in their garage or whatever, you can change the height. But I do like the fact that you can hit the lock button here, and actually when you're in the tailgate you can just hit lock. Once it shuts, it locks all the doors, so that's really cool. For 25, they did take some of the badging off. It's now embossed into the tailgate, so that's kind of a cool thing, but for me, I really don't care necessarily about that. When it comes to the Forester, guys, I like the fact that I'm 6'2", and this is me sitting behind me. I got about 3.5 inches here, and this seat's actually slightly reclinable in the back here, so I like that. Now, depending on your trim level, you can get heated seats back here. The vents work really good, but this is a very comfortable seat, probably for 4 people and 1 small person, so if you're going to seat 5, then that's the case. When we look up here, we do have what Subaru considers their full sunroof, or it's not truly a full panoramic, but it does come open all the way back to here, so it is pretty darn large. We get some storage here in the doors, and then again, for what I like about Subaru is a lot of other cars, all of this is hard plastic. You get past the front door and it's all hard plastic. Now this is hard, but the texture here, all soft. Everything where you're going to put your arms and stuff. And then I like the two-tone. So for 25, they are changing this. It will be flat, so take that for what it's worth. Now let's climb up front. All right, when you get up here, guys, we have a decent amount of door storage for what it is for being a small SUV. All of this stuff is soft up here though, which is really nice. I like the different shapes and textures in this interior. So for 25, you're losing this piece of real estate, which I have a mat up here that you can buy. I have a video on that. They're going to get rid of this screen. It's going to be minimized, and it's going to have the big 12-inch screen that you're seeing in all the other up trim, say the Ascent, Legacy, Outback. They're going away from that. So you'll have a couple dials, a couple buttons on there. But if you're a dial and button person, then you're going to want to stay in the 24. They do widen this area down here for a wireless charger, which I like. But now, the biggest thing for 25, and this is the reason why I like the 24, obviously that exterior styling, but this is all padded right here, so being as tall as I am, my knee kind of sits there while I'm driving sometimes. It's nice to have a padded thing. And if we come over here, this is going to be flat and kind of shorter, so I like the fact that when my knee's kind of touching here, it is also nice and soft. Cruise over here. everything can be shut off without having to go into a subscreen on the center stack. So whether that's a safety feature that you like or just want off temporarily, you can see the crash avoidance, the lane departure. You come down here, the lane centering, and then we come over here and you can see traction control, lane departure warning, and everything like that down here. So you can shut all that off, and including the auto start feature, which I don't necessarily care about it. I don't shut it off. I just kind of let it do its thing. I've learned kind of how to trick those systems and work. So we got decent storage up here. Again, 425. They are putting these offset, so somebody with a little bit shorter, when you're sitting in the seat, they'll be nice. They can reach that easier. But actually good leg room. Now Subaru keeps it simple, guys. They have a recipe. I would say that about 90% of the buyers that buy their first Subaru come back and buy another one. So Subaru listens to their consumers and tweaks and changes small, subtle things. They're never going to blow your mind with the next year of stuff. Again, the 12-inch screen that's coming. This one does have navigation. All of Subaru stuff is TomTom bias navigation, which is fine. It does fine. It's not the craziest or best. And then you also can have Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. So if you want to use those type of maps, you definitely can. Now, one thing I do like is I like having these analog gauges. So for 25, they're going to move the fuel gauge over here. It's going to be a needle, and over there will be a water temp. So that's nice. It'll still have this little screen here. But for me personally, I like having this. I put my big phone up here, and then I got all of those screens that you can kind of scroll through. A lot of different information. I have some videos on how to tailor these maps and everything like that. So you're going to lose some of this functionality going to a 25, but again, they kind of incorporated it into the larger screen. As for everything else with this, the seats are made out of real leather, guys, in every trim that gets leather, and the cloth seats are plenty comfortable. Premium above, you're going to get heated seats. My only gripe, and it's not even a big gripe, it's that you have to pay extra for the 360 heated steering wheel. So I don't know why they only heat about 90% of it, but the top bar of it is not heated. But I guess most people probably don't drive up there. But it is a very intuitive car. It's easy to drive. Excellent when it comes to road noise. There's hardly any. But then again, a lot of these cars are going to 20-inch tires, so they have a really small sidewall. Subaru likes to run 18s. You have a lot of sidewall, helps with that. When it comes to fuel economy, I've actually been beating what they had on the window sticker. That's subjective to your driving habits and the quality brand of fuel that you use. I only run premium in this, so that's 91 octane. Don't need to. You can run 87, so take that for what it's worth. But I usually get about 32 to 35 miles a gallon, so that's really good. The way they simulate the CVT in this, they supposedly tweaked it for 25, so it's even better. But the CVT and the Forester versus the Outback and all the other ones, this thing actually is really fun to drive. It's good to drive. It has simulated shift points. And really, when you drive a CVT, you want to kind of ease into the throttle. Even if you want to get going fast, you just ease into it. If you're going to floor it on a CVT, any car, it's going to be rapping out and sounding just like a sewing machine. So, you know, you just have to kind of tailor that driving habit for everything. But one thing I can tell you is the fit and finish in the Subaru, because they just kind of keep just tweaking it each year, is awesome. We've had so many Subarus. I've been buying Subarus now for, geez, almost 16 years. I've had ones that had almost 200,000 miles on them. I've had everything. Now, this is the first Forester that I bought for myself. My wife had a 13 Forester for a while, and no problems with any of these. Now, am I going to say that Subaru doesn't have problems? Sure, there's going to be some cars that do, no matter what brand you buy. But Subarus, for me personally, after buying so many and probably putting 500,000 miles on all of mine, zero issues other than simple maintenance and oil changes. So when it comes to seat quality, real leather. A lot of other manufacturers are using some type of synthetic leather, and I'll tell you, some of that stuff has a really nasty smell after a while. After the new car smell's gone, you smell that leather and it stinks. That's what our Tucson smells like. It stinks. It's bad smell. True leather here, if you step up to the highest trim, you get an Apple leather. Real leather on the steering wheel, and real leather down here by the shifter and everything like that. So far, so good. Now, we're going to go over and check out the 2025 real quick, and then we're going to come back and I'll show you the driving test, and I'll show you my impressions of the 24 Forester. So let's take a look at the new 2025 Forester. Now, I'm at a dealership. They just got one in. I know dealerships around already had them out. They're already out for sale. and just take a look at some of the differences that they actually did. Fortunately, it's locked up, can't get in there, and that way this kind of just plays in, you know, to the video 24-25. So of course they got some new wheel options. You can see they did some venting here on the body cladding. They really tried to square it up. So there's it in silver and blue, gray. They got a good handful of these bad boys. So definitely boxy from the front. They did change the shape of this a little bit. Of course, we got the badging here. Changed the tail lights, kind of Hyundai Tucson. Of course, I like the printing in the tailgate there. The biggest thing is, guys, they went ahead and changed out the center stack. So you see earlier in the video I was talking about that real estate there, right there above the radio. They put a big 12-inch screen in here. Luckily, versus the Outback, you still have a small console down there in front of the shifter, which is nice. Again, they did bump the torque up in this year, and so you can kind of take a look at it. You can see how the doors themselves, the pitch of the actual, like where the switches are at, that doesn't angle up like it is in the other ones. Pretty much kept the seating material the same, but now the standard is going to be that big 12-inch screen. Luckily we kept some analog gauges, but it very much took over the look of the Outback. I put some cool little striping here. Again, lots of LEDs. You still get the directional headlights that move as you go. So yeah, for me, I'm not a big boxy fan. That's not really what I like. I like the look of the 24 better, but if you're looking for a deal on a 24, Subaru has some good finance deals. They have some good lease terms and stuff like that, and Subaru does have the best overall resale value, so you can take that for what it's worth. You can see the limited wheel pattern versus the premium. One thing they did too is they kind of misaligned those cup holders, so it gives you a little bit better reach. They're not so side by side there. Now the Sport does get these kind of bronzy wheels. That's kind of cool. And instead of the chrome, it's all black, but you can kind of see the difference in there. Yeah, so there is a lot to like about the 25. I appreciate what Subaru's done, but the good thing is the price point hasn't really changed, so that's really nice, guys. So let's get back to the rest of this review. So sound off in the comments what you guys think about that 2025. Again, I like the driving experience in this. Again, is you can hop in a Hyundai and a Kia, and they make a really nice car, and they have so much tech that you kind of get in there and you're like, wow, this thing is crazy when it comes to everything, and it really is nice. Don't get me wrong. It kind of makes you think that, wow, this has so much tech in and stuff. So if you love tech, great. The Subaru, when you get into it, it's not going to blow you away. You're not going to be like, wow, this feels like the most sophisticated vehicle out there for the price point. It is a good price point. You can get these for under 40, and you can get them in the high 20s actually. So it's really kind of however you want to decide what packages you want. But what's cool about Subaru is, guys, standard all-wheel drive on all of them, so no front-wheel drive versions of anything, except for the little sports car they make, the BRZ. And this car is just a nice place to be. It handles really well when you're talking about road noise, and the stereo's phenomenal. The Harman Kardon is really good. The bass system's good enough. I'd say that across the board that most people's bass stereos are pretty good. So nothing really there, but what you can say is it's pretty much flawless experience. When you hop in the Subaru, they keep tweaking their eyesight technology. That's what they call their safety tech stuff, and it's actually really good. My 21 Outback, man, that thing would go crazy sometimes, and it wasn't a really big problem. It was just something the way in the design, it would catch a weird shadow, it would slam on the brakes thinking of that, and that was kind of dangerous on the highway. But they've tweaked it, and that supposedly is fixed. And when I was going between this and the Outback, it was kind of like, well, what do you really want? The Outback's a smidge bit bigger in the back when it comes to cargo length, but because it's a wagon, it's shorter in height. So, you know, at the end of the day, I decided I'm going to get myself a Forester, and so far I've loved driving it. It's exceptionally good on fuel economy. The ride is really good. The safety tech for me has worked flawlessly. Now you can kind of see here in just a second, it's going to simulate a shift, and it's really smooth. It really gives you the impression. Again, if you're a mash it throttle person, the CVT is going to feel like a full-blown CVT no matter what. And that's no matter if you get a Subaru or say a Nissan or whoever else is running CVTs. Honda's got some, Kia's got some, and everything like that. Now, would I prefer a true automatic? Sure, of course I would, when it comes to doing it. But for having not that much horsepower, it's very peppy. It's way more peppy than our Hyundai Tucson, and the power numbers aren't really that crazy. Now for 25, they bumped the torque, lowered the horsepower a smidge, but not enough to really make a big difference. I haven't had an opportunity to drive one of those, and as you saw in that video, those were locked up, but that's kind of like the exterior, the interior changes. So really, you got to think to yourself, which one do I like best? Now, people, again, when I talk about Subaru buyers typically go back and buy another Subaru. What makes that easy is the fact that Subaru has the highest resale and owner loyalty than just about any brand out there. And most of the Subarus are actually made here in the US, I think in Indiana, if I remember right. They're just a well put together car. To put it in perspective, we had a 17 Impreza Sport that we bought brand new. Years later, it ended up getting totaled from hail, and we got almost as much as we paid for it brand new, and I've never experienced that in any other car. And when I do trade my Subarus in, I actually get really good trade values, so that is pretty nice. So again, is it going to be the car that you're going to hop in and say, wow, look at all the computer screens and look at all this? No, not necessarily. If you hop in the 25, yes, you're going to get a larger screen. I had that one in my Outback. It was a good enough screen. It was pretty enough. But again, it just held the same functions as all of these redundant buttons and dials do. So that's not a huge selling point for me. I don't use my nav a ton. So that's really not a big deal. But at the end of the day, guys, the 24 Subaru Forester has got to be a car if you're looking at, if you want a nice, reliable, well-built car, good on fuel economy, good safety tech, just a well-rounded car. And I'm telling you, these things are great in the snow. So the Forester does have X mode, so you can actually dial it in depending on what you're off-roading. But there's a lot of people that actually take these little Subarus kind of up some dirt, some bit worse dirt roads than you're used to, and actually try and take them off-road. And they do make a wilderness package, which has more ground clearance, more aggressive tires, more aggressive body cladding. That's going to carry over. They're not dropping any trims for 2025, but there will be some big differences. So my opinion is, guys, again, you got to take Subaru as one of the cars you got to be looking at if you're looking for a 5-passenger small SUV for your family. Haul some dogs around. You can actually flip the seats down and get some gear. There's a very small tow rating on this thing, so nothing that you're going to want to tow really anything with, but you could always put a bike rack on the back and a rack on the top to carry kayaks and whatnot. But really, Subaru is a excellent vehicle, and never had a problem with one. Very happy with this purchase. Again, we're 3,100 miles in basically, and it's been a really good car. It's an excellent car, matter of fact. And I think, like I said, unless you're a tech guru and you just got to have all of that pizzazz, keeping in mind that our phones fail, and that's basically what all these LCD screens are. So as before, guys, sound off in the comments what you think of the 25 versus the 2024, and also feel free, guys, if there is a video that you would like me to make or explain, like I'll go deeper into other videos on features and systems in this vehicle, like I try and always do. But if there's something you have a specific question about, I will make a video on it, even if you're the only person that views it. As long as it helps you, I will do it for you guys, because that's what Automotive Inc. does, and I'm here for you. So as always, thanks for being here. We'll catch you on the next one.